Hey guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So happy new year. I'm really excited to film this video because we are going to be talking about all of my anticipated reads for 2025 and I have 50 of them. 2025 is about to be a lit reading year, I hope. Now, even though I'm excited about all these books, I hope all of these books will actually be good. So I'm going to break this down by month. A lot of the books that I'm anticipating every year usually come out within like the first half of the year, and that is the case this time. I think I have a few that come out later in the year, but a majority of the books that I'm going to be talking about come out between January to June. So I'm just gonna break it down by month, and then I have my iPad here. I'm just gonna pull up each book, give you guys a little blurb, maybe go into a little bit more detail depending on the book, but we're gonna go ahead and get started. So the first book that I have here that is released in January, it actually comes out on January 7th. I have 3 books that come out on January 7th, but this is a book that I anticipate every year as part of a series. No shock, this is the 10th book in the Wayward Children series by Shauna McGuire, a adult portal fantasy series. These are books I look forward to every year because I absolutely adore them. So this year we have Adrift in Currents Clean and Clear, and it says Giant Turtles, Impossible Ships, and Tidal Rivers, written by a drowned girl in search of a family. So I'm excited about it, like I just said, and I'm not sure if we're getting any more books in this series, but if we do, of course, I'm gonna go ahead and pick them up. So the next one that I have here that's also released on January 7th, we have Wake Up and Open Your Eyes by Clay McLeod Chapman. This is a adult fiction horror thriller. And the cover is what really intrigued me about this book, but it says it's a relentless and emotionally charged social horror about a family on the run from a demonic possession epidemic that spreads through media. So this has a lot of trigger words for me, like demonic possession. I'm not scared of a lot of things, but if it involves a demon, it terrifies me. And then anything that has to do with like an epidemic, pandemic, anything like that, I'm there. And then if it has like a lot of social commentary, I also enjoy that too. So I'm hoping I will enjoy this one. So then the last one that we have that is released on January 7th is Breath of the Dragon by Shannon Lee and Fonda Lee. So this is a young adult fantasy, and it says it's the first novel in a sweeping YA fantasy duology based on characters and teachings created by Bruce Lee. First thing that got me was it's by Fonda Lee, and I love Fonda Lee. And then the next thing, Bruce Lee. How could I not pick this up? Next up, we have a adult mystery thriller, Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. This is released on January 14th. I actually already have a copy of this because Book of the Month released this early and made it available as a pick for December, so of course I picked it up. I was actually planning on reading it in December, but fun fact, Gabby over at Gabby Reads has invited me to co-host on her Book Troop live show discussion for this book in particular. So I'm really excited about that. So I am going to read that when we get closer to that live show. And when I have more information, I will definitely let you guys know. But this one says, Alice Feeney returns with a gripping and deliciously dark thriller about marriage and revenge. That's all I needed to know. I anticipate Alice Feeney's books every year, and I have been seeing some early reviews for this one, and people have seemed to be enjoying it, especially they've been enjoying it more than they enjoyed her book from last year, so I'm excited about this one. So then I have 2 books that are released on January 28th. The first one is by Frida McFadden. It is The Crash, adult mystery thriller. This one says the nightmare she's running from is nothing compared to where she's headed, and all I know is a woman gets stranded after a really bad car accident, and because it's Frida McFadden, who knows where this story is going, but I'm intrigued. The last one for January that I have is also released on January 28th, and it is Head Cases by John McMahon. This is a adult mystery thriller, and this one just says that it follows a group of FBI agents as they hunt down a murderer seeking his own justice in this electrifying and commercial series debut. So of course I'm excited about this one, and something about this cover also really intrigued me, so I'm looking forward to it. So now moving into the books that are going to be released in February. So I have 2 books that are going to be released on February 4th. The first one is Needy Little Things by Chanel Desamores. This is a young adult mystery fantasy thriller, so that already is intriguing. I also really like the cover of this one, and this just says it's a speculative YA mystery. A Black teen with premonition-like powers must solve her friend's disappearance before she finds herself in the same danger. So I like anything that deals with like premonitions or characters that have that sort of ability. So I'm hoping that I will enjoy this one. And then the other one that's released on February 4th, which I am also really excited about, is All Better Now by Neil Shusterman. This is also YA. It's dystopian sci-fi thriller. And I really have enjoyed the books that I have read by Neil Shusterman. I've only read one of his series and then one of his standalones, but I absolutely love those books. So this one just says, it's a young adult thriller about a world where happiness becomes contagious and teens caught in a conspiracy by the powers that be to bring back discontent. So I have an arc of this. I'm actually about to start it soon. And when I say soon, I mean like tomorrow. So I'm really excited to jump into this. Again, anything that deals with like epidemics, pandemics, viruses, I am here for it and I'm really excited about it. Next up, I have Vantage Point by Sarah Sliger. This is a adult thriller gothic suspense novel, and so I know that it deals with like this wealthy family. It says it's a seductive gothic suspense novel about the dramatic downfall of one of America's most affluent families. I love anything that has to do with like wealthy people, their issues, their dramas. And I also think that this has to do with a lot of politics in here as well. So I'm intrigued. So next on February 18th, we have the conclusion to a duology that is Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicerelli. This was the Crimson Moth series or duology. And so this is basically following a witch hunter that is trying to capture a witch. There's a romance involved. When I read the first book, I honestly did not go into it with the highest expectations. I really enjoyed that one, so I'm really looking forward to the conclusion. So next up, we have Close Your Eyes and Count to 10 by Lisa Unger. This is a adult mystery thriller. Now, I am anticipating this, but I'm also kind of hesitant for this one because I've only read 2 books by Lisa Unger. One of them I thought was fine, and then her new release for last year, I actually DNF'd. So hopefully I will like this one. But it says that it's about a real life game of hide and seek amongst a group of people on an island. That sounds like a fun time to me. Maybe not to them, but it sounds like a fun time to me. So next, being released on February 25th, we have The Fourth Consort by Edward Ashton. He is probably one of my favorite sci-fi authors. One of my all-time favorite books is actually written by him. It's Mickey 7. And every year since I read that book, I have been looking forward to his releases. Some of them hit more than others, but I still enjoy them nonetheless. I really enjoy his characters. So this one is a adult sci-fi. It follows a group of people. All I know is like they're on some planet. There's like big slugs. And it says it's part first contact story, part dark comedy, and part bizarre love triangle. This asks an important question of how far you would go to survive, and more importantly, how many drinks would you need to get there? Another part of the reason why I like his book so much is because he brings a lot of humor to his stories. And like I said, I really enjoy his characters. So I have no doubt that I'm going to enjoy this one as well. So the last one that I have that I'm excited that's going to be released in February, that is Something in the Walls by Daisy Pierce. This is a adult horror mystery, and we're following this psychologist who's watching over this young girl who believes that a witch is after her, and her behavior slowly becomes more erratic over time. That sounds like a good time to me. So moving on to March, I have 4 books that I'm looking forward to that are going to be released. The first one is going to be released on March 4th. That is Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Bastone. This is a adult contemporary romance. I read her release last year. I'm pretty sure it was last year. It was called Ready or Not. It wasn't like a new all-time favorite or anything, but I really liked the characters in that one. So I was excited when I learned that she is coming out with a new release. So this says, grieving the loss of her best friend, a young woman's life is turned upside down when she meets a grumpy stranger who swears he can help her live again. I also really like this cover. I really like the cover of her last book, and something about this cover is speaking to me as well, so hopefully it's good. So next, being released on March 18th, which I am also really excited for, probably one of my most anticipated releases. This is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is yet another Hunger Games novel. This is technically point 5. This is following Haymitch's story. He's a part of District 12. I really enjoy Haymitch, so I'm so excited to get a story that is dedicated to him. So I'm pretty sure by the time this release is coming out, you're gonna see all of the Hunger Game fanatics come out, including myself. I'm hoping to try to do a reread of that series before I read this one, but this is like one of my most anticipated reads for the year. So I have another adult mystery thriller that is going to be released on March 18th. This is Serial Killer Support Group by Saratoga Schaefer. I actually already have an arc from NetGalley, just waiting to read it. So this says, after her sister is murdered, a woman infiltrates a support group for serial killers in this biting queer feminist debut thriller. So this is obviously being compared to Grady Hendrix' The Final Girl Support Group, which I liked, not a lot of other people liked, so I'm looking forward to this one. So the last book that I'm looking forward to in March that comes out on the 25th, this is a adult contemporary romance. It is Just Our Luck by Denise Williams. I have read all of her books except for like this bind up of short stories. So needless to say, I have really enjoyed her books. So this one says, a lottery ticket plus donuts equals love in this steamy new fake dating romance. I like a fake dating trope, so I'm excited. So moving on to April, I have quite a few books that I'm looking forward to, and we're gonna start this off with Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, a adult contemporary fiction. I love Abby Jimenez. I have read all of her newer books, which are the 3 books that are part of the Part of Your World series. And this one just looks like it is a standalone book, but it says this is a playful yet deeply emotional contemporary romance between our characters Xavier and Samantha. I'm not even gonna read all that. I don't even really want to know a lot going into it, because whatever it's about, I know I'm gonna enjoy it because it's Abby Jimenez. How can you not? Next up, that's also going to be released on April 1st. I don't think I said that about the previous book, but both of those books are going to be released on April 1st. This is the second book in the series. It is A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is book 2 in the Shadow of the Leviathan series. This is adult fantasy. The first book in that series was The Tainted Cup. I read that maybe like the summer of last year, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm really looking forward to this one. And basically we're just following these 2 detectives in this fantasy setting that is solving murders. So fantasy and a murder, 2 things I love. So next up, being released on April 8th, we have a young adult mystery. This is Boys with Sharp Teeth by Jenny Howell. This is another one where the cover has really intrigued me. So this says, We Were Liars meets the Raven Boys in this mind-bending YA debut about dark revenge, twisted desire, and the sinister secrets lurking behind the walls of an elite boarding school. So what caught my attention here is revenge and anything with like a school setting. So this boarding school setting is right up my alley, and I hope I enjoy it. Another book that I have that's being released on April 8th is the 3rd book in another series. That is The Maid's Secret by Nita Prose. This is book 3 in the Molly the Maid series. I am anticipating this because even though I don't necessarily am that invested in the mysteries. I really, really, really like Molly as a character. So I'm going to continue to read Molly's story. So in this one, it says, when a daring art heist takes place at the Regency Grand, Molly's life is threatened. The question is, who's out to get her and why? So I don't want anything to happen to Molly. So I'm excited to see where this goes. The next book that I have that I'm also really, really, really anticipating, that is also being released on April 8th, is Hard Town by Adam Plantinga, a adult mystery thriller. If you guys recognize the name of this author, his book, The Ascent, was one of my top books of 2024. So of course, I was looking forward to this one. This is actually book 2 in this particular detectives series. So this says, when a plea for help sends retired Detroit cop Kurt Argento to the small desert town of Fenton, Arizona, things immediately don't appear to be as they seem, and he finds himself unraveling secrets that want to stay hidden and questioning his own moral compass. I really enjoyed getting that story, The Ascent, from this detective, so I'm excited to see where his story will go next. Moving on to the books that are going to be released on April 22nd, I have 2 of those. The first one being Great Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, again, adult romance. I'm not really sure why I keep anticipating her books every year, because the last few ones that I have read from her have just been 3 stars. They have been fine. Definitely not new favorites, but something about her books, I just want to keep reading them to see if maybe I'll find a new favorite from her. But this one says, 2 writers compete for the chance to tell the larger-than-life story of a woman with more than a couple of plot twists up her sleeve in this dazzling and sweeping new novel from Emily Henry. So we'll see. Like I said, hopefully it'll be a new favorite, but I don't know. Also on April 22nd, we have another one that I'm really anticipating, but I'm also hesitant because a previous book of theirs just didn't live up to the hype for me. And that is When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. So in this one, we are following Jess, who's a struggling actress, and she finds a boy hiding in the bushes outside her apartment. So she tries to help the boy, but then they have to end up running away from the child's father. So we shall see how I will enjoy this one. The last one that I'm anticipating for the month of April, that is released on April 29th, we have The Staircase in the Woods by Chuck Wendig. This is a adult horror mystery, and it says a group of friends investigates the mystery of a strange staircase in the woods. That intrigued me. Also, this is another one where I really like the cover, so we will see. I have not read anything from this author, so I'm not really sure what to expect. So moving on to my releases for May, I have a few. The first one is being released on May 6th. That is Parents Weekend by Alex Finlay. I have not read anything by this author. I know people have really enjoyed their books in the past. This is a adult mystery thriller. And it says, in the glow of their children's exciting first year of college at a small private school in Northern California, 5 families get together, and on the night of their big dinner, the children never show up to the dinner. And so I'm assuming things happen. I'm excited to read this. I do have an arc from NetGalley that I will get to eventually. So I'm excited to see what I will think of this author's work. So another one that is also released on May 6th, I also have an arc of this from NetGalley. I just got approved for this one from NetGalley. This is Overgrowth by Mira Grant. If you are unaware, Mira Grant is also Shauna McGuire. Shauna McGuire is the one that writes the Wayward Children series. So she writes under 2 different names. So this is a adult horror sci-fi book. So this is basically a full-on body horror alien invasion apocalypse. So this has everything that I like wrapped up into one story, so I'm really excited. It says this woman, Anastasia, since she was 3 years old, has believed that she was an alien. That's all I need to know. Next up, that's going to be released on May 13th, which I am super, super, super excited about. This is a 3rd book in the series. This is Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan, adult romance. This is book 3 of the Skyland series. And in this one, we are following probably one of my favorite characters is Hendrix. So in each book of the series, we are following a different main character from this particular friend group, and in this one we are finally getting Hendrix's story. I just like her. She brings a lot of the comedic relief to these really hard-hitting romances, so I'm just really excited to finally read her story. So I have two releases that come out on May 20th. The first one being Murder in the Dollhouse, the Jennifer Dulos story by Rich Cohen. This is nonfiction true crime story, and this one was actually mentioned to me by a friend, and so I was intrigued. But this says a nail-biting, edge-of-your-seat investigation into the mysterious disappearance of Jennifer Dulos and the aftershocks that shook a wealthy suburb. So I've never heard of this person before, but how my friend described it to me, it just sounded like something that I wanted to pick up. So the next one and the last book that I have for May, also being released on May 20th, this is another YA fantasy debut. This is Cruel is the Light by Sophie Clark. It says it's about a demon hunter and a foot soldier thrown together in centuries-old war and the forbidden love that could change the course of history. So more of like a romantasy, but it involves a demon hunter. And like I said, I'm here for demons, so I'm intrigued. So then we're moving on to June, and June is going to be the month of releases. I'm highly anticipating almost all of these books in June. So this first one might be a little bit of a shock. This is A Mastery of Monsters by Lizelle Samberry. It looks like it's the book one of a new series. This one is supposed to be released on June 3rd. So the reason why I say this is a little bit of a surprise is because I have not found anything from this author that I have enjoyed yet. I gave one of her books 2 stars. I have DNF'd another one. I have another one that I have not read yet, but this one sounds good. So I also want to check this one out as well. So this says it's Ninth House meets Legendborn in this thrilling first book in a dark academia fantasy series about a teen who's willing to do anything to find her brother, even infiltrate a secret society full of monsters. I like anything that has to do with dark academia, so that is what is selling me for this, so hopefully I will enjoy it. Next up, that is supposed to be released on June 5th, we have A Box Full of Murders by Janice Hallett. This is a adult mystery, and I have a few of her books. I am currently in the middle of one of them right now, which I am actually enjoying. It's The Appeal. But what I am so intrigued about when it comes to her books is they are all told in mixed media. I am a sucker for stories that include mixed media, that like include any sort of like podcast element. And I just am so fascinated how people are able to tell like complete stories in mixed media. So when I saw that she was coming out with a new one, I definitely want to read it. So this one follows 2 siblings, Ava and Luke. They discover a mysterious notebook in their dad's attic that suggests that a murder took place, and they are trying to figure out what happened. So I'm really looking forward to this one. So I have quite a few books that come out on June 10th that I'm so excited about. The first one we're going to talk about is With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. This is no surprise. No matter whether or not I liked his previous release, I will always be looking forward to Riley Sager's releases. So this one, it says, One Train, No Stops, a deadly game of survival and revenge. It says in 1942, 6 people destroyed Anna Matheson's family. 12 years later, she's ready for retribution. I'm excited. I don't care what anybody says. I'm excited for this one. I'm excited to see where this story is gonna go. My most anticipated release for this year is King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. If you guys have been here, you know that S.A. Cosby is my all-time favorite author. So when I found out that he was finally coming out with a new book this year, I about passed out, especially because it comes out one day before my birthday. And when I pick this up, I just do not want to be bothered until I'm finished. So this one is another adult mystery thriller. It says that it is a Godfather-inspired Southern crime epic with dazzling family drama. I don't even want to know anything more than that. All I know is that I need to get my hands on that book, and I wish that it was being released sooner, but I am so excited for that book. Another mystery thriller that's coming out on the 10th, we have Kill Your Darlings by Peter Swanson. I've only read two books by this author, and they were fine. So I don't really have a lot of expectations. Again, this is another book where the cover really caught my attention, and I'm just curious to see what I'm gonna think. And this just says, it's a inventive, utterly propulsive murder mystery in reverse, tracing a marriage back in time to uncover the dark secret at its heart. I was intrigued with it saying that it was telling the story in reverse, so we'll see how I feel about that. So a adult fantasy that I'm looking forward to that's being released on June 10th, it is Six Wild Crowns by Holly Race. This is the first book in a series. The series is called Queens of Elbin. So the first two sentences of this is what got me. So it says, the king has been appointed by God to marry 6 queens. Those 6 queens are all that stand between the kingdom of Elbin and ruin, or so we have been told. This man is trying to marry 6 people. I'm here for the drama, because there has to be drama with that, right? We'll see. So another book that I'm looking forward to is from V.E. Schwab. This is a adult fantasy, and it is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. This does not say much in regards to what this book is about, so I can actually read you guys the whole thing. It says, 3 young women, their bodies planted in the same soil, their stories tangling like roots. One grows high, and one grows deep, and one grows wild, and all of them grow teeth. I'm intrigued. So another book that's released in June 17th to be exact, is The Poppy Fields by Nikki Ehrlich. This is a adult fiction, contemporary sci-fi book. And if you guys are familiar with the author's name, she is the one that wrote The Measure, which was a book that I really enjoyed. So when I found out that she was coming out with another book, I know that I have to read this. So it says it's a stunning speculative story of healing, self-discovery, and forgiveness, and found friendship that will appeal to readers that like Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow. I have that book. I have not read that, so I can't say whether or not that's going to be true. But it says, in a remote stretch of California desert lies a unique new research center home to an experimental and controversial treatment that allows those suffering from the heartache of loss to sleep through their pain and keep on sleeping. That sounds interesting to me. And I know that I loved The Measure, so I'm hoping that I love this one. Another one that comes out on June 17th that just sounded like a fun time. This is This Princess Kills Monsters, The Misadventures of a Fairy Tale Stepsister by Rai Herman. This is a adult fantasy. And this says, a princess with a mostly useless magical talent takes on horrible monsters, a dozen identical masked heroes, and a talking lion in a quest to save a kingdom in herself. It is affectionate satire of the Grimm's brothers' fairy tales, The 12 Huntsmen. So this is another one where the cover really intrigued me, and it just sounds like it's going to be a fun time, so I want to pick it up. So then the last book that I'm anticipating in June that comes out on June 24th is by Lisa Jewell. It is called Don't Let Him In. This is a adult mystery thriller. Her last release, not this year, but the year before last, I really enjoyed. I'm blanking on the name right now. None of this is true. I really enjoyed that one. I gave that one 5 stars. So of course, I'm really looking forward to this next book. It says 3 women are connected by one man in this kaleidoscopic thriller. So it looks like this man was pushed in the path of an oncoming train, leaving his daughter Ash and wife Nina devastated, but then they receive a small gift from someone that knew him. And then I guess the story is going to take off from there. So I don't need to know much to know that I'm going to pick this up. So my only July release is by none other than Holly Jackson. This is Not Quite Dead Yet. This is going to be her first adult mystery thriller. I'm so excited. Even though I did not like her book from last year, that in no way is stopping me from picking up this new release. So this one says, In 7 days, Jet Mason will be dead. Apparently, Jet is the daughter of one of the wealthiest families in Vermont and 27 years old, and she's waiting for her life to begin. But apparently, she's gonna die. So I am intrigued. I honestly don't even care what it's about. It's from Holly Jackson, so I'm definitely gonna pick it up. So moving on to my August releases, the first one that I have is The Locked Ward by Sarah Pekkanen. This comes out August 5th. This is another adult mystery thriller, and it is about the crime of the decade, pathological sibling rivalry, bitter, all-consuming envy. Whatever the cause, and everyone has an opinion, it led Georgia Worthington, who was adopted as a newborn, to kill the younger biological daughter of her wealthy, socially prominent family. I don't know what it is, but a lot of these books that I'm interested in have to do with these wealthy families. So that tells you anything about me. But I'm really looking forward to this one. This is another one that I already have a art copy from NetGalley, so I will get to it when I get to it. So another one in July, this is Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle. This is a adult horror queer story, and this has all the buzzwords that I enjoy. We've already talked about this. So this says, after a global disaster prompts thousands of comically unlikely deaths, a bisexual statistics professor who has convinced herself she might not exist and an ethically dubious government agent must travel to Las Vegas to unravel the connection between deadly bouts of absurdity and a supernaturally lucky casino. This sounds super chaotic, but I'm here for it. We have another adult horror story. I think it's historical. Yeah, historical fiction, adult horror. And I'm really excited about this one. This is The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas. I have enjoyed one of her stories and have not enjoyed another one of her stories. So I'm hoping that third time's a charm and I will enjoy this one. But you guys know I love me a possession story. So this says, when a demonic presence awakens deep in a Mexican silver mine, the young woman it seizes must turn to the one man she shouldn't trust. Takes place in 1765. So I'm really excited about this. I'm excited to see what she's going to do with this story. So on August 26th, we have Forget Me Not by Stacey Willingham. This is a adult mystery thriller. This is another author where I actually enjoyed 2 of her books. And then that third book, I didn't like it as much. I gave it 3 stars, but didn't like it as much as the other ones. But I am anticipating this next one. So this is a story where a girl sister has disappeared and now she is looking into her sister's disappearance. It's like one of those classic stories, but I'm excited to kind of see what Stacey Willingham does with this one. Again, hopefully it will be something that I enjoy. Another one that I'm really looking forward to that is released on August 12th. This is Too Old for This by Samantha Downing. This is also an adult mystery thriller. I read her other book, A Twisted Love Story, 2 years ago at this point now, I think. And I really enjoyed that one. Not a lot of people did, but I enjoyed just how chaotic and stupid it was. The relationship in there, it was kind of stupid, but I really enjoyed that one. So I'm really looking forward to this one. So it says, a retired serial killer's quiet life is upended by an unexpected visitor. To protect her secret, there's only one option left. What's another murder? This cover also really intrigued me, so excited for this. So a book that's going to be released on August 28th that I'm excited but also hesitant about because their books have been like hit or miss for me. That is, I think it's pronounced Catabasis by R.F. Kuang, a adult fantasy romance, historical fiction. So it says, Dante's Inferno meets Susanna Clarke's Piranesi in this all-new dark academia fantasy in which 2 graduate students must put aside their rivalry and journey to hell to save their professor's soul, perhaps at the cost of their own. It sounds really good, but this one might be a book that I will wait to see other people's reviews to determine whether or not it will be something that I will pick up, but I'm still intrigued. So I only have 2 more books to talk about. The second to last one is released on September 11th. That is Cleopatra. This is a adult historical fiction fantasy. This is by Sarah El Arab. Arafi. It is Cleopatra will retell the story of Egypt's most famous queen. It opens at the moment she discovers that her father has died and she is now pharaoh. That's all that it literally says for this one. Again, another stunning cover. I actually like Cleopatra, I think, from what I know. So I'm excited to read this one. And the last book, and one of my most anticipated because it's by one of my favorite authors again, this is The Last Contract of Isako by Fonda Lee. This is adult sci-fi fantasy, and it says, it is inspired by samurai movies and Fonda's former business career. It's a searing space opera like no other that takes aim squarely at late stage capitalism. I don't care what this book would have said it was about. I was gonna pick it up anyway because Fonda Lee is attached to it. So I'm excited about that. And like I said, that is the last book that I am anticipating for 2025. I know that's only for like part of the year, but if there are other books that I become really excited about, then I will make a part 2 for the second half of the year. But this was a lot of books for just the first half of 2025, and I'm so excited. Please let me know down below in the comments what books you are excited for 2025. And if by any chance you have already read some of these, if you have gotten early copies, please let me know your thoughts down below. But I will see you guys next time. Bye.